welcome to Paths. I am your host, J.L. Benjamin, and I am here with our special guest, all the way from Australia. Some of y'all don't even know what that is. Look it up. Keiynan Lonsdale. Oh my God. Pop star, actor, like producer of all things creative.
Crazy.
Like leading the pathway. Like that's you.
Oh, that's wild. That's all of us.
Like, oh my goodness.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness. How are you feeling today?
I feel good. I feel good today. It's been a blessing to be able to be in Atlanta, to be able to be working like in Atlanta through times like this. You know, there's always so much going on. So I came from training, so I'm just trying to get my mind right. And then in training, because I just had like the vaccine, I was like kind of half asleep, half there, half in my head. And then I'm like push through. So it's I feel good today, and I'm happy to be here.
He came in here dropping gems already. Like period. No matter, you gotta get vaccinated, you gotta go to training, you gotta get it done.
Because otherwise,
you're gonna come.
Yeah. Because as soon as I did that, then I just fell straight to sleep, and I was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm so tired. I'm like, no, you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Oh my goodness. So let's start from the beginning. Tell everybody where you are from. What's your background? How did you get from Australia to here?
I just walked. It's actually it's a crazy like road that you can take. I was born in this small suburb called St. Mary's in Western Sydney, and my mom had like 6 kids. I was the 6th one, and I was like obsessed with Michael Jackson and dancing. My mom's Aussie, Irish, Danish. My dad is Nigerian. I met him a bit later on in life when I was like 8. And I've always, since I was like 2, the only thing I could remember was like watching MJ on the TV, watching his performances, watching like him connect with people. And I felt like a huge outcast, you know, growing up where I was. And I would often escape into music, escape into dance, as we do. You know, we escape into our art, and it calls to us. And so, yeah, from like 3 years old, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be dancing on stage. I want to dance on stage with Michael Jackson. I want to create. I want to just, you know, listen to music as much as I can and make that my reality. And so my mom was like, you know, working like 3 jobs at the time. You know, already completely spread thin. She was like, okay, if that's what you dream, you know. But she was the best. You know, I credit her really for being, you know, MJ is my idol. My mom's also a huge idol. You know, she instilled in me from a very, very young age that no matter how little we had or how maybe it seemed like an impossible dream, the power of belief, the power of imagination, the power of hard work and work ethic. And the power of, you know, despite what people might say, you stay on your focus and you keep going, and you're going to be the one that's held accountable to follow that through. So she was like, if you really dream this, if you really want to be, you know, moving to America and trying to make it here and trying to, you know, create art as a living, then, you know, you're going to have to be kind of nonstop. And I was like, okay, you know. And I think being an outcast at the time, like, it helped me not really have as many distractions because I could just always go into that place of imagination on music. And from there, dance was the first love. Okay. I went into dance classes. Yeah, I was just, there's all these home videos of me just dancing to MJ. He's the only one I would dance to, like MJ, or sometimes like Destiny's Child, Boyz II Men, but mostly MJ. And so then I would get all my dance solos. I'd perform on stage like every weekend for dance competitions. I was confident enough to do that, but I wasn't confident enough to like look at people in the eye or talk to anyone. So it was this kind of funny thing, but I think that's common. And then at some point, I think when I was about 11, I really got the urge to start writing songs. I found out I was able to get this scholarship to go to a performing arts school. And at the time I was getting like, you know, I was really dropping my grades in high school at the public school I was at. I was starting to get into fights, which wasn't really my, you know, I was such a shy kid.
Yeah.
And suddenly now I'm like getting into fights, everything's happening. and I was fortunate to get a scholarship to go to performing arts school, and that's actually what started me writing. So I was just thinking about all the possibilities, and so I wrote my first song. It was terrible, but
What was it? What was it about?
it was about believing and dreaming. It was pretty, I think,
Do you remember the melody at all?
yeah, it was literally called Dreams Come True. It was like, dreams come true, yes they come true, for me and you. It was very cute and sweet, and I would actually, I haven't sung that in like 10 years, I completely forgot about it, but I would corner these kids at my school. I was like, I wrote this song because I was so excited to be here. They'd be like, yeah? I'd be like, yeah, but I'm really scared to sing, but I'll sing it for you. So they'd be like, that's really sweet, keep going. You didn't have to corner me into another room to do that. But I was like, okay. Yeah, and then I would make these kind of funny garage band songs on the computer, and my mum would walk past, she'd be like, you sound terrible, but, and I'd be like, I know, but eventually I'll sound good, eventually I have this plan to be able to put them all together. Characters, dancing, and music, and yeah, just stuck it out, and this is a huge answer to your one question.
No, I love it. I love it. The more the merrier.
Okay.
It makes my job easier. I just sit here and look cute, and you know what I'm saying?
You do look wonderful.
Thank you.
But your question was, for me, was, I guess, how I came from...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a constant journey. I was dreaming of it for so long, and eventually I had gone into the acting space through musical theatre. I did one musical. I was trying to do some acting classes in school, but my teachers at the time, they were like, you're a dancer, that's what you should do. And I had to sort of fight and be like, I know that this is where I'm at, but I need to be singing, I need to be acting, and so I had to just ignore them at that point. and just follow my gut, listen to them to an extent, but yeah, I eventually got the acting bug, and I really didn't think I didn't think I would ever get a job in that space for maybe till I was like in my 30s or 40s maybe. Yeah. I thought that I would make it in other areas, and eventually they would let me act. Yeah. They would be forced to let me act.
Hey, I'm good here, I'm killing you right here, and then boom, I have arrived. The whole monologue ready.
Yeah. But I started taking myself to workshops and outside of school, and when I did my first only musical, it was the scene work that just connected and flowed with me for some reason, and after that I'd gone into TV space, and then I did this dance TV series called Dance Academy. It was like this ballet drama. Okay. And it was awesome, and all the actors on that show were like, after this is done, we're going to go over to America for pilot season. I was like, what's that? They were like, you know how we get maybe 3 auditions a year here? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you can get 3 auditions a week. I was like, what? Like,
what have we been doing this whole time?
Yeah, I'm like, the chances are much higher, because,
you can get one.
Yeah, it's like, that's wild, Of course, when I came over, I get dropped by my team in like 3 weeks. I'm like bombing all these auditions, super shy, super scared, so like overwhelmed by the whole thing, and but it was amazing. I loved getting to have that push and having those opportunities to fall on my face. It didn't feel good at the time, but and then I would teach a bunch of dance classes, basically like 6 days a week, outside of because I was working professionally, but I wasn't really getting paid that well, so I was teaching as much as I could, and I loved teaching dance, and was just trying to hustle as much as I could to get another ticket to come back to LA, try it again. And the second pilot season, I'd done much better in auditions, but didn't land anything quite yet. So I went home, started doing self-tape auditions, and then eventually one landed. and that was for the Divergent series, and that shot here. So the first place I worked in America was in Atlanta 7 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how I got here.
So like, I mean, that's a story in itself, right? Seriously, like our viewers who are watching, who've experienced, right, rejection. But like you literally got told no or didn't have as good of a season as you wanted to, pilot season 1, went home.
Yeah.
And like home is like, not like down the street. Home, like a whole nother continent. And then came back and said, oh, still not having the season that I want to have. And went back home. Yeah. But you didn't go home and get discouraged. Like you continued to work. Right? And in you working, you're doing those self-tapes and you're like, oh, okay, I got it. So like, what's the next step there? Is it like we pack up everything, we move to America? Like how does that transition work?
Well, I was really just trying to get my visa sorted. It was a matter of days as to whether the visa would come through or not, because I'd been working on it for like 8 months at that point. And so it was like, you have this job if your visa gets approved, but it needs to get approved in the next like 48 hours.
48 hours?
Yeah, so luckily everything aligned, and I had to think like, this is either in my path, in my destiny or not, because it's out of my control. This is up to like, it's a visa at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, my life changed at that point, and it was really strange to synchronicity because I was teaching a hip hop routine with the concept of Divergent to all my students. Just because I'd seen the first movie, I'd had the audition, I was like, this concept's really sticking with me, so I feel like I could build something around a dance routine for this. And then I had to leave my students and be like, I'm going to do the movie of the job, of this routine that we've. So no one believed me. I had to keep it a secret for a while until everything was locked and loaded, because until I'm on that plane, I just didn't want to get my hopes up too much. You never know. But yeah, packed all my stuff and I moved over. And yeah, it was just me. Obviously, just got a lot of love from my friends and my family, and everyone wished me the best of luck. And I was terrified, but so excited. Yeah, it was a life-changing moment.
Yeah. So you were still working while scared, right? You said you were terrified or like fearful, but you were still like operating in your passion and down your path. You're like, hey, I'm still gonna do this.
Yeah, to be honest, my whole life has been like that,
Wow.
Like, so when I say from a kid, I was terrified to like look at anyone in the crowd. I was so scared of feeling, I don't know, just feeling judged or misunderstood.
Yeah.
And just generally afraid of people and the world itself. It felt so big and I didn't understand it. And, I very much was always in my imagination. And I think that, sometimes when you escape too far into your imagination, people are like, where are you?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, growing up, I was one of the few black kids, often one of the only black kids around in a lot of situations. So people were also, while I'm afraid of, people staring all the time, because there's this black kid there. And so that was really, that was tough. My mom always had to just instill in me, because I was like, I don't like the way everyone looks all the time and why this happens, and I don't like the questions they ask, and when they try to, they try to touch my hair, or they try to make comments. And my mom really instilled a lot of love for myself in that way, which I was thankful for. And, but yeah, that fear, I think it comes hand in hand. It's grown me. So while I was afraid, afraid to get on the stage or afraid to make my way there, once the music was hit, I knew I'd be home, and I knew that I could do what I've already envisioned many times and block everything else out. Yeah. Or connect with people the way that I really wanted, because when I was on the stage, I'd be like, this is who I am, So, and yeah, I think I have to listen to my gut. There's certain things where it says like, this isn't going to be right, and the fear is kind of like, more of a problem and a warning of like, don't go this path.
Yeah.
There's other times where the fear arises because this is the thing you want, because because you're excited, because and so it's like get to work. Get to work, and I feel it with every new job that I do because I'm working with new people, new creatives. It's newly explored territory and unknown, and I want to do a good job, and I want to get it right. So I try to find a balance of getting myself to a place where I feel ready, but then also just allowing to just trust, in a high power, in God, the universe, in faith in myself, and in the vision, So sometimes the fear helps because it's like, keep walking, keep going.
Yeah.
You're on the right path.
So after
Path.
oh yeah, path. We gotta plug it. Path plug. That was a path plug.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch that, rewind it back, play it again. There it goes. So when you got here and you're working and you're operating, how big was your community? What did community look like? Because I know even just for people who moved from like Texas to Atlanta, trying to build that community here can be a little hard. Like just meeting people. How did you meet other actors or become familiar and build that kind of team and hub?
It became, that's why I guess there's so many people on set. You have a set family.
Yeah.
There were a couple actors that had joined the cast for the first time, and so we just gravitated towards each other, going through a new experience, So, but for the most part, especially at that age, I wasn't being that social. I would just kick it at home or kick it with whoever I could at work. Yeah. And community is something I built over very slowly. It wasn't until I had moved to Los Angeles the following year that I had enough of my Australian friends had all flown over to America and they were living there. So now half of the people I'd grown up with since I was 12 were there.
It's lit.
So that was, it's lit. It's like, this is perfect. We can all go through this, be experiencing a new country together. Yeah. So that was really cool. I would get myself to dance classes. Yeah. Dances are my community through and through. So I feel like I can go anywhere in the world and I can go to a dance class and feel normal and feel that community and feel this is my people.
What's your favorite type of dance? Hip hop, ballet.
I love hip hop. I love contemporary.
Okay.
Growing up, I really liked jazz, but I would freestyle a lot when I was a kid. So I like things that were technical, and classical ballet too. Yeah. Not my favorite, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I was never the best at it, and I didn't like wearing tights for ages. And they force you, So I didn't like anything where people were going to force you to do something. Yeah. But yeah, ballet was still awesome because it's a foundation for everything. Yeah. So.
How did dance help you out as an actor?
I think it helps me take direction because. Dancers have to be equipped to do that so much. Yep. And dance is just storytelling. For me, when I was dancing, I just think of telling a story. So I think acting came naturally in that sense because they're connected. But yeah, and then I think also it helps on the downtime because sometimes with filming sets, it can be a lot of downtime. Yeah. And with me, I just need to be moving. So it also helps with downtime so I can either do a little tapping or I can move a bit. People might look at me weird. For the first, when I join a new thing and they're looking at me like, what's he doing? Or they join in, try to get more people dancing.
And it creates the energy. And so so there's dance, then we're having acting, musician. Yeah. Now it's artist mode, full blown artist mode. Yeah. Do you find your passions tugging for your attention a lot? And who often wins the rivalry? Who often wins the tug?
It's always, once I was 19, I realized that I wasn't going to dance professionally as much anymore. So that's when after I got the acting bug, I was like, I need to focus more time on this because otherwise, I'll not be able to get my mindset out of dance.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing I did was, though, I pushed dance to the side too much.
Okay.
And I almost forgot about it for a while, you know, and I thought that I needed to do that, but you never need to push your passions to the side. You can put certain things on hold while you nurture, you water like the other part of the garden, you know?
Yeah.
But don't just brush it off, because I think that's what makes us strong, is everything that we can do. Every human has got all these different skills in all these different ways, and so I think it's about nourishing them all at different times. So I have to trust my gut. You know, I didn't expect to be like, as fortunate as I've been working as an actor in film and TV. And I think at some point I'd gotten to the realization where I was like, you know, I'm always obviously recording music, always talking about making an album. I put out EPs and I performed, of course, and been writing a bunch, but I knew just how much I wanted to make my first album. I knew how right I wanted it to be, and I wanted to honor a certain part of me. So then that was like, okay, now I think I have to put the acting on hold for a period of time. Yeah. And that was scary because it's like, you know, everyone's like, but you'll lose the momentum, and like, you know, you ain't gonna have this, and like, what about this? And you know, what if the money could be good and you're gonna lose that, you'll lose your security and everything. And so then all the fear comes back and you're like, I know all these things, but I have to listen to the thing that, I have to listen to the calling I've had since I was a kid. Yeah. You know, I always felt like it was my purpose to be able to create in that way. And with music, for me, being an artist, it's my chance it gives me the space to dance, to sing, to be with music, and to create a character and tell stories. So for me, that's the place where I feel like most fulfilled, because I can serve like each of them. Yeah. Or if I'm lucky, you know, certain film projects, obviously you get to jump into these different worlds, and some of them involve dance and singing, and, you know, so that's always really cool. But yeah, they're often at tug of war, and I just have to trust my gut and trust everything. And also I'm blessed to be in this position. Yeah. But it's always about, you know, I think even when things are going good, people will try to have a control over where you're steering, and it's about me saying, I know that looks great, I know that this is amazing, I know that that's amazing too, but I still am my own person, and I still have to, and I see this, you know, so I see this for myself, and then that's a sacrifice because it might not work out, and I'm okay with that. So I think it was like, it's me going, and I think this is for everyone, you know, trust in the vision enough, if you really believe it, to keep going forward. And every time I've made that decision, life has shown me that it can be like magic in that way. And it's blessed me and opened up different paths, and then I'll get freaked out and scared all over again. I'm like, nah, I can't, I should just do it by the book, and I should just do what they're saying. And then I'm like, screw it, like, let's do it again. Yeah.
How do you express those personal boundaries, right? Like, is it D&D on your phone, you're turning your phone off, or you're telling people like, hey, whenever 3 days before I make a big decision, I don't want to talk to anybody, like, or a few hours, like, how are you expressing those boundaries so people can kind of ease up?
I'm trying to get better at it all the time, like, you know, because I'd hold things back, it'd be super emotional, so I'm like, you can't control me, I gotta do this. You know, not that dramatic, but, you know, I would be really, really in my feels about it, and I couldn't understand why. It took me a while to realize that no one else is really always gonna see your path the way that you do. Mm-hmm. That just took me a minute, you know, they're not gonna get it, they're not gonna see it, and that's okay, that's, you know, that's great, that's fine, they're gonna see what they see and they have their vision. So now I kind of just check off my phone. I'm not great with replying, but it's because...
No text back, gang. Me too. I love it.
It's because I want to know, like, when I'm texting back or I'm replying, or when I give you the answer, that's the answer. That's where I'm at. I've thought about it. Maybe I've meditated on it. Maybe I've cried about it. Maybe whatever. Who knows? So there's some times where I'll just kind of take my time, and other times it's just messy. You know, it's not always clear. You know, it's not always clear the decisions to make, and I find like the longer I go on, the best thing I can hold on to is my values. But life is always changing and expanding, and new decisions and new crossroads come up, and so that process can be a lot of different things. And I just try to keep the circle of my communication in that space, like, you know, with people that can hear my thoughts that are all over the place.
Yep.
And they trust that when I come back and I say, this is what I'm gonna do, they're like, okay.
It's giving strong Sagittarius vibes, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like my spidey senses is like we may have the same birthday.
Oh yeah.
I think my research has shown that we do have the same birthday.
Yep. You got that too. You like that too.
All over the place, but hey, we know what we're doing. And we need a team that's just gonna like, hey, I trust you.
Yeah.
I know your vision. I trust the vision that you have for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, and I think now they're like, now I'm okay with them seeing that I sound crazy, and they get, it's hard to articulate sometimes, and with new people, because it's like, you know, I know that I might not always make sense. That's what we're saying, you know. I know it doesn't make sense, but we're gonna have to do it. You know,
if this is making perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't spend so much time trying to translate this for you, so I just need, at some point,
just gotta do it.
You just gotta do it. You gotta hop on the team.
Yeah.
So even with that, right, you talked about your values, things that keep you grounded, curious, physical, mental, spiritual. What are some of the things that you're doing to kind of maintain that foundation?
I try to stay consistent. I'm not always consistent, but...
Wow, we might be related.
Yeah. It's, meditation is a big one I started doing a few years back. Now on average, I probably do it like 3 times a week. I can go months doing it every day and months not doing it at all. Because either I've gotten cocky with it or I'm like, it didn't work. But when I'm in flow with it, it's awesome. Working out, I have to dance.
Yeah. I
can't just work out, I have to dance because that's what I've been doing since I was 2. So I realized, if I'm not dancing, I don't feel like myself. Yeah. So that's why even being, side quest, but that's why even being in Atlanta is cool, because you just walk on the street and people are dancing.
Oh, for sure. You
know, there's no...
Yep, but like, exactly. it's a vibe.
And
you don't even hear the music.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can join in. It's community with body language.
Yeah. I find myself dancing with people on the street a lot here, just randomly, and I haven't had that in a lot of other cities, so that's cool. And I journal. Okay. Inconsistently, and I make sure I make sure I'm tight with my family, and my close friends.
Are you a FaceTime?
I'm a FaceTimer.
I'm such a huge FaceTimer.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah.
It's just like real quick, convenient.
Yeah.
You don't pick up my double FaceTimes. I'm feeling some kind of way. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I like I love FaceTimes at the most like inconvenient times, or the most comfortable times, I guess, actually. Yeah. When but yeah, I try to balance it all, and then, you know, I pray as well, not as often as I could, but that's something I've really only been doing, you know, recently. But before that, even as a kid, always manifesting, always praying in some way, even if it's through dance or through art. Yeah. And then outside of that, I'll just try to make stuff for the sake of it. I'll let myself like get off of the plan and just be like, what is it that I want to do? What do I want to do right now? And then just go to that place and try not to judge it, and then see what kind of magic comes out of it. So I try to give myself that freedom.
Yeah, allowing yourself to just kind of go with the energy or the vibe.
Yeah, to play.
Yeah, to play. Because most people are like, this is the plan, this is what I'm doing, there's no wiggle room.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like for me.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you say that, right? Because you said one of your influencers or somebody you looked up to was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, you started out with dance, which makes sense. MJ could dance, period.
Man can dance.
Then we went into acting, and then we went into musicianship, and it's like, wow, now you're well-rounding yourself in that icon role. I don't know if you saw it, but I see it. I'm speaking it over you, but literally, what's one piece of advice, if you could only give one, right, to someone who is pursuing a career in acting? They are back home in Australia, they're looking to come to America. What's that one thing you want them to know? Whether it's a word of inspiration or something to look out for when they get here.
Something to look out for. This is something I'm only recently learning, and I feel like maybe trained actors knew this from school, and I just, I wasn't trained like that. But the characters you play are, even if they're complete polar opposite to you, they're a reflection of a part of you. So you're going to be taking on that character's world, and you kind of merge. And if you understand that, you can find some real beauty in it. At the same time, it can also help you not get too lost in that space. I think when you're playing all these different characters, sometimes I'm like, I don't know who I am. Do not know who I am. And so that's sometimes why I'm crazy. So I think give yourself the chance to recognize which part of the character is me, actually. Even if you have a distaste for the character, you're playing something crazy. You find which part of this reflects me, reflects humanity, and which part of it can I throw some unconditional love to. I think when you understand it, you can be you can allow it to flow better and separate yourself from it. In general, going for acting and pursue it, people say this all the time, you are going to get so many rejections. And maybe not, maybe you're super lucky. Maybe you're blessed.
You're like, never seen it, but maybe that's you.
And it doesn't mean that you're not a fantastic actor. It means that role is not for you. It means that there are so many different moving parts. And I've heard interviews with people saying this, and I was like, that doesn't help me, bro. Give me something good. But it really just is the truth. And it helps you not be so heartbroken. Yeah. And it helps you stay on the path and believing in yourself, So when you don't get something, do your best not to take it personal, because it wasn't for you. And it's opening up something else that is for you. So that was all preparation. So I would say that.
What does a no do for you? Like when you hear a no, does it motivate you? Does it make you adjust in any kind of way? Or is it like, hey, it's today. It's Tuesday. I heard a no. I'm going to do something again,
No's are good. Yeah, no's are good because it's motivating, and it's motivating. I would actually say that yeses are harder. I fuel off of trying to hit this wall, you fall on this wall, you crash there, and then it makes you go even faster. I've used that as motivation for so much of my life, like people not believing in people, people teasing the ideas of, when I told someone I wanted to do TV, and I was at a performing arts high school, they'd be like, you should just need to be more realistic, You need to be this, you need to be that, and it's really ridiculous of you to think that you can make it like that, That's like my mom being like, you sound terrible. I'm like, the day she called me, she was like, I really like your voice is sounding great. I was like, thanks, Ma.
I remember those days.
Yeah, I'll never forget about it. Now I'm forgetting what I was saying.
No's.
No's.
So,
use them as fuel.
Yeah.
Use them as fuel. And it's also a compass, Again, if something is a no, unless you know super in your gut, there's still a chance. Let's say, when I was like 18 or younger, I was in this kids agency, and all my friends and everyone else at the school was going for the commercial.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you're not the type. You're not the type they're looking for." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm not the type? Like they want like 15-year-olds. They want people with personality that can move around and dance. Everyone else in the school and the agency is going for it. What do you mean I'm not the type?" And so that was a no, right? But I'm like, something doesn't feel right. And I remember walking past the audition, and one of my friends was like, "Keiynan, just come in." And I was like, yeah, just because the agent said they didn't want me, they can decide for themselves.
Let them tell me no.
Let them tell me no. I'll be fine with that, So I walk in, and I booked the job. I booked the lead.
Stop it.
Yeah.
If you are at home, on the toilet, on the couch, at work on break, just do it. Just walk in. Just walk in.
Yeah. The worst that will happen is you get another no. At that point, you're like, okay. I tried.
I'm done. It happened.
Yeah. But it's better to try and know. But if you have that gut thing that's like yelling at you, then go for it. But otherwise, no's are good. They help you on your path to getting the yeses.
Yeah. So I'm curious. What is 3 practical steps that somebody watching this interview can do? And when I say practical, I mean I want us to get as specific as possible. So like maybe a class or a workshop that you would either recommend, of course if it comes natural, like, hey, this is somebody who I've coached with, who's coached me or I've trained with. I think people should experience this too.
In terms of acting, music, dancing?
Oh wow, I know, it's so many. So, I mean, I don't know.
I would say, first thing that comes to mind in terms of acting and in terms of anything is get to improv classes. I wish I did more of them.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves so attached to the script, to the rules, to this, to that.
Yeah.
Go to improv classes so you can break everything apart and stay on your feet.
Yeah.
Because when you get on set, sometimes they're like, "What do you think it should be?" Sometimes the other actor is not going to say any of the lines on the page, but you've rehearsed those lines and you've rehearsed it this way. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can either sometimes you want to stick back to it, or you realize it's an opportunity to play. And so then you're like, well, we know what the scene means, so let's just go for it. And I feel like that's a muscle to work on. So for acting classes, I would say one really important thing would be to get into improv classes.
Yeah.
And I wish I did more, and I should do more. But now it's like on set, I find myself having to improvise in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know that was going to happen. So, when someone is, I feel like this was touched on in the last interview, but when someone does go out of their way to show support in your field and to offer advice and to actually listen in, honor that friendship and that guidance, because that's everything. If you can find someone you look up to and in any regard, and they're willing to impart that, those are the things that have kept me on track when I've had a million different voices in my head. It's mentorship. One of the people I'll always look up to is Jesse Martin. He played my dad on The Flash.
Yeah. And
I consider him my brother, but also a great mentor, and leading by example. There's often times when someone's not going to give you the words of advice.
Yeah.
They're not going to break it down for you. But if you're seeing the way someone operates and you respect it, take the time to process that and the example that they're setting. also a lot of the mentors I had, come from the dance industry, and back in Australia. I don't know if, who knows who's able to see this and get to Australia and dance at some point.
Hey.
But,
we viral.
Yeah,
We're speaking it.
Exactly. Some of those were Leah Howard, Sarah Bolter, Matt Lee, Cameron Mitchell, Jackie Howard. I went to this school called Brent Street, and it really allowed everyone to just like go and train as hard as they could. Pretty much all my teachers, honestly, I took something special from each of them. And you said 3.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to keep dropping jewels, it's completely on you. we want people to leave here and be like, okay, this is the improv I need to go to. This is the one Keiynan went to. Like, this is the one I need to go to.
I did it in school, and it was at Brent Street. Okay. So if you're fortunate enough to ever get yourself there, get to classes at Brent Street. Okay. And also the Village Performing Arts.
So who would you recommend in terms of music?
In terms of music, vocals, one heaven-sent guide for me has been Stevie Mackey. He's my vocal coach. And I started working with him last year, just before the pandemic. So I was really fortunate, but it was like a dream when I started to be able to, on that first lesson when I had my first class with him, I felt like I was in a dream because it was like unlocking all of these different parts about how I mentally viewed singing and music, and it felt so right. Coolest part about that is Stevie teaches a bunch of online classes, so you can actually sign up for Stevie's classes, and I wouldn't recommend anything higher than that. If you're looking to gain more confidence with singing, and also the way he talks about music, the way he talks about singing itself, it allows you. There's so much love in there that it just sparks. I think that's what gives him his voice. But it sparks it in you, and it reminds you how powerful music is, the magic of it, the magic of the voice, and that there aren't any limits. And the other thing I wanted to say was something to do with songwriting. Is that I would say give yourself the chance to write the song that you want to write, make the music that you want to make. And we often obviously are geared towards certain things and trying to fit in certain boxes and make something be a hit and make something be this. But it's crazy what you can make when you just go, screw it. Let's just
not even saying words right now, but hey, it's a feeling that's just not even captured.
Give yourself that chance.
Wow.
Yeah, so with someone like Stevie, like I have a performance coming up in a few weeks for Pride Month.
Plug it.
Yeah, it's Stonewall Day, June 6th. It's for Out Loud, and it should be streamed. I think it will be streamed on Twitch, so tune in for that.
Ooh, Twitch. Y'all better download it. New app.
Yeah, but whenever I'm, usually if we're both able to do it, I have a performance coming up, it's, get back with your coach. And that's with anything. Do the classes, do the coaching, always train. At one point when I started to work as much as I got the bad idea that I didn't need to keep up that kind of training. Yeah. But you do. It's good for the soul. Everyone's always on their game. And yeah, that's how we continue to grow, and that's how we continue to keep art in the right place, always refining the instrument.
And my last question before we head on out, right? I'm curious to know, what is one of the boldest, wildest, craziest like actions that you've taken in your career that has changed your career, or for the better or for the worse? You're like, hey, but I had to do it. I couldn't not do it.
For me, and I've talked about this a lot in interviews, but it was undeniably when I did choose to come out about my sexuality, maybe 4 years ago now. That was the one thing where I was like, I'm never doing that. I'm never going to do that. You know, I'll never be accepted for it the way I need to be. Like this one, you know.
Yeah.
It was something I held on to so much. And then I had warnings from people, you know, when they would find out, they're like, you know, well, if you want to be superhero, you know, if you want to be this, you want to be making music.
Oh my God, these are the exact faces.
Yeah, you can see it, you can feel it, right? Yeah, those are the faces. As a kid too, you're just like, or as a young adult, as anyone that's dreaming of something and is unsure, and not necessarily, at the time there were less examples. And it's cool, there's so many now. But yeah, I believed it until I didn't, until I got to the point where I was like, screw this. And making that decision felt really good, just to release it. And from that moment, my life changed. I was no longer creating from the space of, I need to like, you know, hold this part of myself in because otherwise, you know, this will fall apart. I realized that was such obviously a creative block.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people like, you know, one of the big things people say is, you know, are you afraid that you'll get boxed in, you know, to only certain roles or only certain this? And since then, I've obviously, you know, I've still been able to play straight roles in the acting space.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and I said to my team, I'm like, I want to play queer roles, you know, I want to tell queer stories.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super proud, this is super dope, and the fact that there's more coming out there now in the biggest way. And it allowed me to write my album Rainbow Boy. You know, I wrote Rainbow Boy because it was like, I'd gotten to create my own kind of like fantasy hero of this like character who expressed himself in every way possible. And it was the kind of album I never thought I'd ever be able to write. And it was the most freeing thing to do. It was the biggest emotional roller coaster. It really was. But I'll forever be proud of it because it's the album that I needed to hear. I just needed to hear someone saying, you know, someone living as themselves. I needed to see it. I needed to see them dance. I needed to hear them sing it. I needed to see them in shows. I needed just to know that we could be free and that it was cool.
Yeah. Look at the smile that it brings to your face, like just talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think other people watching past right now are smiling. I'm smiling, my cheeks are hurting. No.
It's a blessing, and it's not always easy. There's many times, you know, I was just talking about this today with my friend. You know, there's many times I'll go back, not back in the closet, but sometimes I literally fool myself and go backwards like that. But again, that's part of the healing, and is part of the part of the process of life, whether you're straight, you know, LGBTQ plus or not. Everyone's got I think it's a inhale, exhale moment, and you know, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So yeah, it's good too. You know, I think a lot of people have said to me, they're like, you're so free, you're so this, you're so that. And I'm like, it seems like that, but I go in and out maybe just as much as you do, but I know now the truth. I know the truth is that you can be who you are, and that's the world that we're shaping. There's still many parts of the world where you can't do that, but the world is shaping slowly to be that, and that's the future I hold on to.
And a lot of people always say, I think, you know, people will say, hey, you shared the part of yourself that you were queer with the world, and they're like, okay, that's the big bang. But I'm sure there's like more that we're gonna see in the years to come, right? That's gonna pop out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's my old joint. Like, yeah,
exactly.
Everybody know that. That's common knowledge now.
Exactly, and that's also why I wrote the album. I was in this, to be completely candid.
Yeah.
I was in a space where that became the main focus. Sexuality was the main focus of everything, and And I was like, I know I have more to give than than this, you know. And so I was like, ultimately, it comes just down to expression. And I'm really glad I gave myself the chance to break that open, so that everything going forward is just, you know, the truth of where I'm at that time. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come. I'm making a visual album. So the album came out last year, and then since then, I know everyone drops their videos with the album at the time, and people are like, but that's a bit late. I'm like, I know, but if these videos are that on point, it doesn't matter. You know, if the vision's right, then that's it, you know? I would watch someone's. So yeah, so now it's like, it's really, I'm just excited to bring visions to life, and to keep playing and keep creating, and, you know.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, I mean, we've been having everybody do paths, tweetables, quotables, Facebookables. If you could do one line sentence and you look in the camera to one of the viewers, what would you say to them? Word of inspiration.
Yes. Again, this is similar to what Eda was saying, but about 2 weeks ago, this really stuck with me, and I really needed to hear it. But it is, you write your story.
Yeah.
You really do write your story, and life has a way of taking you a lot of different places, some places you don't want to go. And our minds have the ability to do that too. And life has the ability to make you feel like it's not your pen, but it is.
Wow. I'm sorry, that was so deep. Okay, I need to talk to the viewers. I needed that.
It is. I need it too. It's like, you know, we have it, and I think that's why the world could be so crazy sometimes, because we have limitless imagination, right? Each of us. Even if we seem blocked or whatnot, we block it because of the fear of just how expansive our imagination can go. So because of that imagination, it's like we could find ourselves in the darkest places, in the best of places, and everything in between. And it's about like understanding that, just how powerful that mind is, and then saying, okay, now I'm going to write the story that I really believe in, and the world that I want. I'm going to write my story. So you hold the pen.
Wow. Yeah. There you all have it. It is Keiynan Lonsdale, special guest on our stage right now in this moment.
Thanks for having me. It's been really special.
Thanks for having you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us and putting up with our, technical difficulties. No, but I am your host, J.O. Benjamin, and we are so excited to have you continue to hear about the past of the entertainment industry's greatest contributors. Like, comment, and subscribe to the network. We are so excited to have you here, and we can't wait to see you again on this path.
Yes.
Thank you.